타입 주위의 랩과 내 랩은 완전 얼어붙은 너의 플로를 깬다 한계란 건 없어 거침없이 흐르는 랩 스타일 리듬의 이름은 절대 죽지 않는 맵바 렉스와 맵타입 주위의 랩과 난 여전히 배고파 누가 내 소울 챙길까 이 반에 서로 자기 것만 챙겨 대체 왜일까 이 밥이 언제부터 이렇게 부끄러운 게 됐을까 렉스와 맵타입 주위의 랩과 인터넷에 공식 있어 당기 완성 랩스타 필수라지 필요와 필요에 만난 랩과의 끝만 보고 덤비지 널 빠진 새끼야 렉스와 맵타입 주위의 랩과 무대 없는 바닷가 배울 것 없는 랩을만 음악 한 단 헛새뿐인 정신없는 래퍼가 믿지 않아 믿지 않는 세상만 렉스와 맵타입 주위의 랩과 이 랩침을 알리는 방법은 수백만 허나 우리가 선택한 건 오직 한 색깔 렉스와 맵타입 주위의 랩만 준비가 됐어 준비가 됐어 DJ yeah MC yeah people bigger yeah DJ yeah MC yeah Rapid Rider yeah DJ yeah MC yeah people bigger yeah DJ yeah MC yeah Rapid Rider 랩타와 렉스 이 랩을 위한 비트 힙합 바닥 언더그라운드로 완전 B급 못 나가는 애들 또는 얼굴 보이 지금 자리 때 봐도 굉장한 분 없으니 권리금 랩타와 렉스 이 랩을 위한 비트 힙합이 판치던 클럽 같아지는 지금 어디서도 기쁨 보이던 게 안 보이는 삶이 된 기쁨 랩타와 렉스 이 랩을 위한 비트 손에 쥔걸 뺀과 같은 믿음 벽에는 예쁜 그림 의미 없는 이름 반짝짜리 힘을 잃어버린 반달리즘 랩타와 렉스 이 랩을 위한 비트 T-boy 비가에 또 줄어버린 말이 높이 날수록 추락 시간이 더 걸리는
Annyong Haseyo. Welcome everybody to our 61st official live streaming edition of Late Night in Korea with yours truly, Japhy Ryder, aka Special Agent Johnny Canuck. From current events via both Korea and beyond, to all things WPRPN.com, world history, pop culture, social media, spirituality, and more. Expect the unexpected. Tonight, of course, not sure how many of you expected us to be an hour late, but that's how things turned out here via our end, unfortunately. Mostly for technical reasons. Facebook issuing a considerable degree of cock blocking, making it very difficult for us to even just post a simple story link with basic information covering our show details here. So how about that? Yes, and the main desktop computer is performing quite slowly, unfortunately. So we are here though nonetheless. Great to be able to reconnect after the somewhat lengthy hiatus. Of course, for those of you who are paying attention, you would know that I was busy entertaining and hosting family members over the course of the past month or so. And in addition to that, all sorts of drama and chaos taking place here on the home front, as far as well, for example, my brother and I were doing some simple stretching at local Jimjilbang sauna bathhouse, yoga stretches and so forth, and it didn't impact or affect me right away, but the next day things turned out I hyperextended my knee. Not sure if anyone's ever done this themselves, hyperextended anything. Who knows? Hopefully we won't have to hyperextend tonight's live stream. We can get right to the chase and deliver the goods without too much further delay, but we'll see how things go here. That has been an issue plaguing me, definitely, for the past, it'll be almost 2 weeks now, just a few days. So, considering maybe dropping into one of the local acupuncturists, traditional Korean medicine clinics that they have available here in the neighborhood. Some, acupuncture and moxibustion and so forth. Who knows? Maybe even a little bloodletting. But others have told me I need to get an X-ray and take a couple shots, which well, there could be something to that. But I'll tell you, this is my right knee. The left knee, years ago, while I was playing hacky sack, and I'm not sure if this is another injury that traces its history back to when, once again, the brother and I were roughhousing, and he ended up hurting my knee, I guess, in a pretty big way. I don't really recall the whole incident. He seems to have a better memory than I do. But years later, I simply jumped up and tried to keep the hacky sack in play, basically. Landed on my left knee, and oh wow, serious repercussions, definitely major implications to that. It swelled up to the size of a semi-large grapefruit. This is nowhere near as bad, thank God, but we'll see how things go here over the coming next few days in particular. I've been doing what I can to take care of things here and go easy. Been taking a taxi home from the uh, supermarket tonight. So, but yes, it is great to be here with you once again. A lot to get to, as you can imagine, both on the Korean front and elsewhere. So, bear with us, and we'll once again try to deliver the goods, whatever it is that you yourself perhaps are interested in engaging us with. By all means, fly at it via the comment section end of things, Peanut Gallery. Speaking of which, as far as keeping the dialogue going, public discourse that we managed to generate, engaging the wider listening world, that's a large part of what this is all about, of course. I'll be on the Morning Star report here via Revolution Radio in just a little more than 12 hours from now, as a matter of fact. So, for those of you out there interested in seeing what that's all about, by all means, Revolution Radio, Morning Star report should be pretty straightforward, easy enough to find, and hopefully tune into. I know Vinny from Brooklyn has been a regular listener. Someone I would like to. I've suggested to Robert we bring in as a stringer of sorts, or someone who can contribute to the conversation and dialogue in a similar way as to what I've been able to do up to this point, playing the role of the trusty sidekick. So, and of course, the news, World Pirate Radio News, Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Out on the west coast of the Americas, 11 in the east. As far as everything in between, Work it out, folks. Calculate it in accordance with your either central or mountain time zone. Usually not that complicated. Don't need to make it any more complicated than it has to be. But yeah, the Morning Star report, just to be clear, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I guess is how how things stand on that front regarding when we actually kick off, get the show rolling. So yeah, as far as who he'll be bringing as a guest, I have no idea. He could just be freestyling, shooting from the hip, as it were. But as it was last week, we had one of the Montauk boys, Christian Laterreur, out of Quebec, Canada, and wow, what a story he had to share. He was someone who actually appeared as a feature guest with us first, courtesy of Laura Lee Potvin. So we should give her, shout out and her props, as it were. So speaking of shout outs, David Wilkes. Good to see you, David. There via the Peanut Gallery over on Facebook. So let us know thoughts, comments, questions, anything that happens to be on your mind. We're gonna address a few issues here, just right off the top of things, as far as the show itself is concerned. Yeah, a lot of technical issues here. Computers not really functioning at a level that they could be, unfortunately. So that does impact our ability. Well, I mean, an hour. We've never been an hour late. That's a record for us. So we are here, whatever the case, and I'm just gonna rattle on through a number of these stories right off the top, and then bring to you a bit of a video show, of course, with news bites, all kinds of interesting items that you may have picked up on over the course of this past week, or perhaps not at all. So we'll just have to wait and see. Kicking things here right off the bat. Well, I should mention as well too, as far as Korea is concerned, today at the hospital, I was there actually picking up pain medication for my back, both neurological and strictly what's necessary as far as so that you don't have to live a complete life of misery. Yeah. If anyone else out there has ever had to deal with back pain, don't know what I'm talking about, of course. So, but this new policy, law, as it were, now they're demanding, requiring that you provide a citizen card as proof of who you are when, even though you're in their records, you're there, you're in the records, they have you in the system, as it were, with all the details that you could possibly imagine, that they are still now, they want more. They want you to provide your citizen card. And that's something that we should be talking about a little more. People need to think about that, ask what's actually going on there. As far as I can tell, it's a slippery slope, boiling frog type situation with Fabian socialism and certain steering committees behind the whole business. Steering committees, Fabian socialism, and even technocracy to an extent. Let's not rule that out. So that that's a major issue that is a little more complicated maybe than what some people realize or are able to even comprehend. You know, all too many people just want to simply fall into line and blindly go along, submitting to whatever it is that the authority figures in their society dictate. Major philosophical issue, obviously. I would argue that people need to stand up to, once again, ask more questions, prove themselves not to be so weak, really, and so much in the way of pushovers. Now, since we're on the topic of this whole business requiring a citizen's card, I've got 3 months to, because I lost my wallet recently. Really strange state of affairs. Less than 100 yards from here to the place where I got my hair cut, and the wallet with a little more than $50 was lost and mysteriously just disappeared. Very strange, very peculiar. Dropped to the ground perhaps and was picked up by a thief. And again, maybe it was taken to a local cop shop. Apparently they have a policy here where it may show up within 2 or 3 weeks in the mail, what the wife tells me. Finally, let's not rule out the Tokebi. For those of you listening not familiar with Tokebi, that would fall into the category of a mischievous imp, maybe goblin or troll, very naughty, interdimensional type being. In Korean tradition, society, history, superstition. All right, so with that out of the way, yeah, I've been spending a lot more time with music, meditation, prayer, and focusing on the kingdom within, rather than all of course, the chaos and insanity that constitutes the world, the external world, as it is. So, God grant me the serenity to accept things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So, what are we looking at? World War V, 6, 7, way ahead of World War III. It's interesting the way some people are completely working off a different scorecard entirely. But yeah, it's World War VII right now. That's what we're looking at. Asymmetrical 5th generation warfare, silent weapons, the quiet wars. I think as well too, with the time of year we're at, coming up to around what I believe is the 2nd year anniversary of that tragedy that occurred in Itaewon a couple of years ago. The Stampede, Halloween Stampede. The cautionary tale. You know, these stories that take the form of cautionary tales. I talk to my adult students about so often, discuss with them how to ourselves, hopefully, take whatever steps are necessary in avoiding similar type tragic scenarios. So it should never happen in the first place, as far as I can tell. It was a major logistical nightmare is one way of putting things. So it should never happen. That the number of people that found their way into the Itaewon part of the city, it should never have been allowed. Clearly, checks and balances. So HomeNetwork.tv, let's give them a shout out as well. We're live streaming through HomeNetwork.tv, something which Mr. Robert Morningstar, along with his colleague Alan, have launched, and definitely seems to be on the right track. So they've reached out to us, brought us on board, helping to syndicate the show, and we're always looking for more syndicators, affiliates, and sponsors. And with that, of course, we're more inclined to actually go live and put these shows together, whether Late Night in Korea, World Pirate Radio News, or the Friday Night Feature Show end of things. All various different formats, of course. Content varying very much one from the next, presentation, style, and substance. Oh yes, let's not forget liking, commenting, sharing. Remember to hit the notification, subscription buttons. Very helpful to what we do here. Of course, very beneficial and much appreciated. In addition, donations through PayPal, Pirate One Radio at protonmail.com. That's the way to do it. The same email, pirateoneradio at protonmail.com, is one that you can use if you have any show suggestions or guest ideas you'd like to send our way. So do take note of that. Also, for those of you hoping to be a part of our email list, so that you can better stay in the loop, as it were, and connect with more of those who have come together and shown an interest in working to better promote this independent underground virtual community live streaming platform and more, that we are effectively working to working to not just launch but continue to have available to the wider listing world. So we have a Teespring presence, TeePublic as well, as far as t-shirts and coffee mugs, things of that sort are concerned. Also, digital donations through minds.com, BitChute, DLive, and what else are we looking at there? Let's just check out the show notes, of course, and just show description, and it should be pretty much straightforward, easy enough for people to get a handle on. ODYSEE is one of the really great places to go if you want to just help us out for free, really. Drop by there and check out the content that we've uploaded ourselves, or as always, any one of your other more favorite independent live streaming underground content producers, click on the show, let it play for a few moments, leave a comment, things like that. As with Minds.com, immediately helps to generate booster points and digital virtual credit, as it were. So do give that some consideration and thought. All right, what are we looking at here? Oh, and let's not forget Patreon, where you can request multimedia packages that we have available here, running in conjunction with any number of our shows. The News End of Things, Late Night in Korea, the feature portion to what we produce, the Friday night feature shows. We have a whole slew, wide selection, as you can probably tell looking at the slideshow, of pictures, memes, and the like available that we somewhat freely share with the public, along with the show notes, URL links, stories, of course, directly leading to where you can follow up on what we've discussed and more, because it's really not all that often or regular and routine that we do manage to get to all the talking points, stories that we'd hope to cover. So, and that's all for a whole $1 over on Patreon, if you can believe that. $1, half of which goes directly to charity. The other 50 cents we hang on to so that we can work on covering our operating expenses. Hashtag WWRHD. What would Robinhood do? One of the things I think Robinhood would do is continue to rock this boat. Pump up the volume. So, speaking of which, rocking the boat and pumping up the volume, you've been paying attention, listening to the news. North Korea supposedly has now blown up parts of the northern side of the inter-Korean roads during a news program at Seoul railway station. Well, let's get that straight. There's more details to follow here with the video that we have available shortly. So there's nothing that they blew up in Seoul, as far as I can tell, but maybe they did. It was, the inter-Korean, on the DMZ somewhere, supposedly, more or less. But always behaving badly, it seems. And complaining about a drone that they found recently, which, what was it weaponized and geared to attack anyone, causing damage or things of that sort? I don't think so. If anything, if it really was in the south, it would have been more of a surveillance spy type device, presumably. So hashtag Zog over on Twitter. Yeah, give that a try, folks. See how that works out for you. Hashtag Zog, Zionist occupied government, with once again leaked footage proving the Hannibal Directive was used during the October 7th attacks. Hannibal Directive. Let's get that out there right now, in fact, to listeners, so they themselves can maybe follow up on this. You can do so with DuckDuckGo as well, using those key terms. Hannibal Directive, for those of you not familiar. Interesting the way so many mainstream media personalities and shows completely out to lunch when it comes to this whole business. Strange. Just out there cheerleading for Israel, no questions asked. You know, and we say Israel, we mean, of course, Netanyahu, Benjamin inside job Netanyahu, and his radical right-wing Likud coalition members that are backing him throughout the course of this genocide. UNC Fernald, the greatest voices in the business. Thank you, David. Much appreciated. Hey, Sonia Galactic in the house over on YouTube. So, speaking of which, that reminds me, we're going to have to cut the feed to YouTube when we launch the videos. And even prior to that, we really have to be careful the way that we converse and work to engage the public. Simply through this business of stream of consciousness and what today's issues are that we regard as essential for people to think about, reflect upon, that the things that do impact our world, of course, as I would say the term is heinous, burdensome, I guess. Sounding a little bit like Kamala Harris, unfortunately. She's kind of ruined that term, but yeah, encumbered, which in itself, if you look at it, is quite the opposite of enlightenment, isn't it? When one is burdened, one surely cannot find themselves enlightened. In the Zen tradition, they have something that's known as walking the bird's path. Talk about that here sometimes. Walking the bird's path. Very light, very unencumbered, very free. No worries whatsoever. Doing what it takes to get the work done, of course. Provide for yourself and your friends and family. Nurturing. Feeding, or what have you. Working to sustain. Speaking of terms that have been weaponized and overly done, but yeah, subverted, really, I guess, is what we find, of course, with language so often. The subversion of language, weaponized, the hijacking, and from that, of course, it's the hijacking of when weaponizing consciousness, or at least that's what they attempt to do. For those of you who buy into it, the endless cacophony. Look that up in the dictionary. Would somebody look cacophony? Cacophony. Someone who's, I guess, what does that mean? Someone who's seriously not real and completely full of shit. Like a cacophony. Yeah. So, anyways, we digress. We don't want to go on too much longer here. It is 1 o'clock. That means we've been an hour and a half. Oh God. Yeah, we got to get the video end of things queued up and ready to go. I don't know how we will pick you up, probably through the roof with a beam. Yeah. Well, Robert Morningstar as well have a speech ready 10 minutes. I'm not sure what that means exactly, David, but maybe you could elaborate somewhat. And of course, David is over on Facebook. You see Sonia there connecting with us through YouTube. So check out the Silk Roads. Something I've long been intrigued with, the ancient Silk Roads. Probably lived there several lifetimes. One of the reasons we return to where we find ourselves because of the karmic magnetism, something to that effect. But yeah, that's what we've got queued up and kind of in rotation right now for you as our audience members. My brother and sister, yeah, they went to Gyeongju and Gongju. Gyeongju, as you can see there on the screen, supposedly with a 1,000-year history, the former capital of the Shilla dynasty. A lot to say, a lot to get into. As far as the history is concerned, we won't do that now. Some other time, obviously, but it is really quite intriguing, very fascinating. Even some esoteric Buddhism, Tibetan style, which seems to have found its way to Gyeongju for some strange, at least in my mind, to this point, inexplicable reason. There were monks back in the day who, from Korea and Tibet, were making their way to India. Chinese monks as well too. It's quite well documented. They're largely curious, working to do what they could to find more information regarding Nalanda, the famous university in northeast India, Nalanda. Yeah, I think it was the Muslims who laid siege and waste to Nalanda. Had to destroy everything that was not pure Islam, of course, of the book. That's the unfortunate state of affairs that history has recorded. Yes. The Black Vault. All right, well, let's see what else we got here. Kennedy is Q. I am McFly and flew my first ship in JCPenney parking lot, 1989. That's pretty funny. Future proves past. That's pretty cool too, yeah. Sonia, what do you think about that? You can't see his comments unless you're over on Facebook, so I'm not sure what you're saying. That's smart. What exactly is smart, Sonia? Israel, says David, is the last part of Q. Drops. Just about done. Oh, Jesus. How many people have been murdered now? It's insane. It's insane. And let's not forget, not only is this really, it would seem, what's driving, really fueling the genocide is the push for a greater Israel in accordance with the neocon agenda, the PNAC documents, Project for a New American Century. That's where people really need to start as far as their research and homework is concerned. PNAC documents and Project for a New American Century, but also a greater Israel in the Middle East. Talk about anti-Semitism. Well, Netanyahu and his Likud coalition, I mean, how much more anti-Semitic could you be? Laying waste to and then murdering all the people of Gaza and the West Bank, stealing their land, completely in contravention to what is generally known as international law, for whatever that's worth. Israel just repeatedly, you know, they're not bound. Synagogue of Satan. Not bound by any international law whatsoever, so it would seem. There's no one holding them to account, as far as I can tell. Maybe listeners have a different take on things, but clearly to this point, you know, they've been able to get away with genocide. Even the the ICC, International Criminal Court, the ICJ, these other high-level international courts that Milosevic, wasn't he tried by taken to The Hague, was he not, years ago? Whatever happened to him anyways, Milosevic? Is Netanyahu himself not? You know, is he not a similar fate? Why is it that, at least to this point, he's yet to meet a similar fate? Bad man. Very, very bad man. A lot of opposition to him and his government as well, which is clearly one of the reasons why they needed to orchestrate October 7th, just like 9/11, used in the Hegelian context of things geopolitically. Problem, reaction, solution. Not that complicated, really, and it was so obvious too. That's the thing. It was far more obvious than 9/11. Things just not adding up. The optics were just damning, really. Very, very telling. And what we have are the big, like, Sky News Australia. They're just pathetic. Fox, terrible. You know, just to name a few. I haven't really paid too much attention to the other outlets, but they're all pretty much the same, except for, like, Democracy Now! It's interesting too, because when you speak out in opposition to the genocide, somehow the powers that be want to then put you in the camp of the left wing, as it were, politically, and that's just not where I stand as far as the political compass is concerned. Definitely not a radical left winger. Sorry. At least that's that's not what political compass tells us. So I think people do fluctuate as well too. We all do with our beliefs, and for whatever they're worth. I mean, it's not like we're more just spectators than anything else. Unless you're actively engaged in impacting, affecting policy directly, what does it really matter? That's another question that we're putting out to the listeners here tonight. So, yeah, what does it really matter? Unless you are actively engaged and involved in, effectively crafting, shaping, implementing public policy. Even with the World Economic Forum right now and all these globalist institutions, agencies, organizations, so much where you stop and ask yourself, did I vote for that? No, I don't remember signing my name on the line anywhere regarding this whole business. So that's why in getting my citizen card here, as we're going to have to do shortly, if any biometrics are involved, which apparently that's the deal, well, we'll see. I think about that time I'll have some major facial paralysis, among other things. But under duress, for the record, and how you say it in Korean exactly, I'm not sure, nor is the wife, unfortunately. But all will be done under duress. DURESS. Look it up, folks. So, alrighty. Wow, comments. You guys are really on fire there as far as the back and forth, to and fro. So, DLive is a place you can check out, along with homenetwork.tv. So we cut the feed here momentarily and cue up the video end of things. Net Yahoo is a mask, is David. Garden of Eden is Earth Gaia Sophia. Sounds interesting. Double X marks a spot. To anchor folks and leave YouTube early is smart. Oh, I see. Gotcha. Well, sure. Otherwise, they're gonna just do everything they can to make your life miserable. And they'll probably do it anyways, just because of the conversation we've had here tonight. So, the election will not happen. There will be a recount very soon. That's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Already some real... they're going to try to rig it any way they can, obviously. The fix is always in. They'll pay lip service to a free and fair election, but never do they allow that to happen. No bloody way. No bloody way. Politics, from what I'm told at least, it's largely about appearances more than anything. Of course, gaslighting, I mean, dear God, it's just endless, of course. That's really all it is. Non-stop gaslighting of the public through the mainstream media as well is one of the problems. That's why they've been losing so much credibility over the past number of years, I would argue. They need to do a better job. More straight shooting. People can see through the lies. A lot of people can. For those out there paying attention. The contradictions, things that don't make any sense. Why is it that North Korea, they complain about their economy? Weed is legal. Yet are they really that clueless and out to lunch? Why they not, to this point, have they not launched, if economics is really what it's all about, a pot tourist industry in North Korea? That would be a total coup. Total coup. Dennis Rodman's last trip, not sure how that went exactly. He may have failed miserably. Heard a few things about what took place behind the scenes, and Dennis was supposedly not, as well behaved as he could have been. So, but was it Potcoin? I think we're the ones sponsoring the trip, Potcoin. So it's interesting. You could see that right on you know, Dennis's handler, the guy accompanying him. His T-shirt and hat. It was, you know, he was the pot coin guy. So where that has gone since then, I have no idea. From what I can tell, probably not too far, unfortunately. But just to me, strange, a real major contradiction. Just as one small example, how North Korea, you endlessly hear them whining and complaining about their economic woes and starving, you know, the poor North Koreans struggling to feed themselves. They have an upper crust, in the country. That's presumably limited, you know, but the elite upper crust presence is there nonetheless. So how they manage to not just only make ends meet, but become so affluent is anyone's guess. Presumably over an extensive period of time where they, you know, proved to be major psychophants, lovers of the dear leader. Sonia Morris. Alrighty then. Welcome, Sonia. Not sure if how long we've been friends on Facebook, but good to see you dropping by. We get to know each other a little bit better over time here. So we are just in the process of trying to cut away actually and queue up the video end of things. I think, you know, we've well overshot the mark, as is typically the case here with the banter and commentary that we offer. So I think we've covered most of the news. Just a brief rundown, kind of bullet point delivery. Sonia Galactic says, Sonia Morris. Oh, that's Sonia Galactic? Oh, okay. I get it. Wow, your hair looks different. That's cool. Gotcha. So yeah, if you're on Facebook, you should be fine then for now. How the hell did we become friends on over there? I have no idea. Hmm. Anyways, what else do we got here? As far as, well, we'll get 12,000 North Koreans apparently having, you know, troops made their way to the Ukraine. So entangling alliances. Let's not forget one of the things that Thomas Jefferson warned the founding of the U.S. You know, beware of these entangling foreign alliances. And it's something that insiders, political insiders in America have, by and large, completely ignored. Yeah, they just simply have not heeded his warning. So make of that rather what you will. Thomas Jefferson, amazing historic figure, no doubt about that. So, all right, folks, I think we've about said as much as we need to then on, once again, the introductory front. Let's transition on over to the video end of things and see what we can offer you here. So we'll reconnect with you at the end. In the meantime, just live streaming video and text chat through the Peanut Gallery. DLive, HomeNetwork.tv, Facebook, mostly where you can find us. We cue this up and cut away from YouTube. WPRPN.com. Once again, as always, of course, the main website, and I will be connecting with Robert Morningstar in less than 12 hours, actually 10 and a half, looking at the clock here, I believe. Is it midnight Eastern Standard Time? I think that may be the deal. So, and then of course the news, World Pirate Radio News, is what we're planning. Something we missed out on a number of times while we were hosting our family via Canada, of course, enjoying a little bit of time off. But it is great to be back and to see you out there. Know that we have your support and you have our back. So happy sailing, folks. Oh, and let's not forget an open house. Open house. Sonia might get a kick out of this. You're invited, obviously. Open house Halloween Samhain special roundtable coming up this Friday. That's what we're looking at. That's what we like to do. It's a seasonal kind of thing. So getting all spooky, witchy, talking ghosts and everything dealing with well, the unknown in many ways. Yes. So alrighty. Catch you on the flip side here, folks. Oh, wow, man. Oh, man. Exactly. I totally forgot to turn on the volume there last time, didn't I? No, jeez. All right.
Worries pile up on my head. Woe is me, I should have stayed in bed. Can't drive the car 'cause the brakes don't work that good. My love life just ain't swinging like it should.
B flat.
Problems, problems, problems. They're all on account of me loving you like I do.
All right.
Problems, problems, problems. They won't be solved until I'm sure of you. Problems, problems, problems all day long.
That's what we had tonight.
Well, my problems work out right or wrong.
Still going on.
Baby, don't like anything I do.
Yeah.
A preacher seems to feel the same way too. Worries pile up on my head. Woe is me, I should have stayed in bed. I can't use the car 'cause the brakes don't work that good.
No good. No good.
My love life just ain't swinging like it should. Oh, problems, problems, problems. They're all on account of me loving you like I do.
Like I do.
Problems, problems, problems. You can solve my problems with the love that's true.
Wasn't expecting that one.
First held by four.
Okay, so hold it, folks. You know, we've got this all messed up here. We're gonna, speaking of problems, we're gonna get things in more alphabetical order. We thought that's what the deal was there, but not entirely. So let's see. Why is that not coming up? You son of a bitch. You kidding me? Hang on a second, folks. We'll get under control here eventually. So stand by. Newland. She's a Trotskyite. Comes from a long line of Trotskyites, apparently. That's who she represents. Awful, just awful woman. Just look at the look on her face. Arrogant. I mean, smug would be a polite way of putting it, but just awful. You know, interesting. I mean, how many of these people that find their way into the highest level corridors of power, how many are actually ever psychoanalyzed? That's
Thanks to the work of the Biden administration, Dr.
that's what I really wonder. You know, I don't understand why more or not. So let's go. Okay, so this is usually what we get at the start. It's all ass backwards. Let's see what we can do here. Oh, Christ almighty. Get this out of the way. Jeez, this is the technical production. Here we go. Stand by.
So we're talking.
That's what we're looking for.
We were
Good
talking
stuff.
backstage. Well, I just said that I read your books.
Oh, thank you.
And,
I appreciate that.
I spent so many years in TV selling other people's books that I'm never selling anyone's book again. And I wouldn't even bring up your book, except I love it. And it's called Truths?
That's the new one that's coming out.
Okay, so this is why I'm bringing this up right now. So he said, what have you been doing? I'm writing a book. It's almost done or it's done. What's it called? Truths. Truths. Oh, what are the truths? And I said, what are the truths? And off the top of his head, he listed them. And I just thought it's so great. You got to hear this. What are the truths, Vivek?
Yeah. God is real. There are two genders. Fossil fuels are a requirement for human prosperity. Reverse racism is racism. An open border is not a border. Parents determine the education of their children. The nuclear family is the greatest form of governance known to mankind. Capitalism lifts us up from poverty. There are 3 branches of government in the United States, not 4. And the U.S. Constitution is the strongest and greatest guarantor of freedom in human history. So there's the 10.
I love that.
Now you don't have to buy the book.
So you start with God is real.
Yeah.
Why?
So I think that's the ultimate truth. And, I say this in particular, I put that first for a reason because, a lot of people in thinking about, I ran for U.S. president, it was new to think about somebody who was not of the Christian faith, who was running for U.S. president, but is a person of deep faith. And I think the beauty of the country is it was founded by people who believed that God put them here for a purpose, right? This country was founded against the backdrop of divine providence. And so I think part of what's going on in the country is that especially young people my age, and I love a lot of young people here too, our generation is so hungry for purpose right now. We are hungry for a cause. We're hungry for meaning. We want to be part of something bigger than ourselves, yet we can't even answer what it means to be an American. But I think part of that hole in our heart, it's what Blaise Pascal said. He's a famous scientist 400 years ago. He said that if you have a hole the size of God in your heart and God does not fill it, something else will instead. You think about wokeism or transgenderism or climatism or COVIDism or globalism or Zelenskyism or whatever the case may be.
That's a bad one.
But you see these things serially coming up over and over again. They're substitutes for the real thing. And I am a big fan of the revival of faith in America. Not by force. The beauty of this country is you don't have to if it isn't natural to you. But the revival of faith in the real thing, in true God. And I think if we revive faith in this country, we'd actually be much more united as a country as well.
This is the Jim Heath Channel playlist of 2024 campaign ads.
Fixing the border is tough. So is Kamala Harris.
It is wrong to somehow suggest that an undocumented immigrant is a criminal.
An undocumented immigrant is not a criminal. An undocumented immigrant is not a criminal.
We're not going to treat people who are undocumented across the border as criminals.
We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I don't understand the point that you're making.
I support our sanctuary law.
Abolish ICE.
Yeah.
Is that a position that you agree with?
We need to probably think about starting from scratch.
I've never had one conversation with the president or the vice president for that matter. I was the chief of the Border Patrol. I commanded 21,000 people. That's a problem.
Be sure to subscribe to the Jim Heath Channel for all the new campaign 2024 ads.
They stopped the transportation of children. They stopped the money. Tara Rodas witnessed her colleagues at HHS tell her that it didn't matter that children were sent to addresses flagged for sexual abuse.
When I brought that we were going to be sending another child to the same address, I was told, Tara, we only get sued if we keep kids in care too long. We don't get sued by traffickers.
A whistleblower with access to the Unaccompanied Child Database portal revealed this never-before-seen document indicating ORR sending this child to abusers over and over and over and over again. And in fact, the document proved the government knew the child had been identified as a victim of sex trafficking.
Recently, in a hearing, the secretary was asked about vetting. He revealed that, well, we actually don't even ask if they're legally in the country.
Why aren't they asking if they're legal?
The more vetting they do, the more slow the process is, and you can't move 500,000 children in 3 years if you're asking a lot of questions.
Don't worry if you can't hear what I'm saying. I couldn't even hear myself. This is the loudest sound you could possibly conceive. And, as it turns out, the cleanest.
Now, the most amazing thing is that that cloud up there, which was generated by the engine, is just a mixture of hydrogen and oxygen. It's water vapor. And in about an hour's time, someone in Mississippi is going to get wet washing. It will actually rain. I told you. It's raining. That's unbelievable. Oh, NASA's playing God. It's making its own weather.
Somebody feels like a little flooding happening lately.
I had the pleasure of working pretty much with every prime minister of Israel, from Yitzhak Shamir forward. I said to myself, wouldn't it be fantastic if I could own the Twin Towers? We got very, very lucky. The governor of New York, George Pataki, decided one day that maybe it would be good to privatize the ownership of the World Trade Center. So I got a call from the governor's office, and they said, would you ever consider owning the World Trade Center? It was very, very good for the family, very good for us, and we were very, very fortunate. On the morning of 9/11, I'm getting ready, getting dressed to go to the dermatologist. I have light-colored hair, light skin. The sun is a disaster for me. I can't take the sun. She said, okay, but you're going to the dermatologist, you're going this morning, and you're not going downtown. We got very, very lucky. And I had an obligation to collect the insurance proceeds from the policies. A new governor was just elected. Elliot Spitzer, an old friend who I knew well. And I said, Elliot, if you don't help me, I'll never collect from the insurance companies. And guess what? He listened, and he said, you know what? You're entitled. I'm going to get you the money. And in 6 months, he got me the $4.5 billion.
You're cordially invited to celebrate the birth of Sean Puffy Combs.
Puffy. P. Diddy.
P. Diddy.
P. Diddy.
I thought his name was Puff Daddy.
Puff.
P.D.
P. Daddy. Diddy. Puffy Daddy. P. Diddy.
You are cordially invited to celebrate the birth of P. Diddy.
Sean P. Diddy. Puff. Pastry Combs.
Puff the Magic Dragon. Puff Daddy.
Puffy.
I call Puffy Sean John.
Got a lot of names, huh? Let's get some more names.
H.R. Puff and stuff.
Sean P. Puff.
Puppy food. Bad boy.
You call him birthday boy, and it's like,
Sean John, Puppy comes. Sean, Puppy comes. Yo, Puff Daddy comes!
My man, Puff.
Big boy!
The legendary Puff Daddy. P. Diddy, yes. Puff Daddy.
Gee, Puff!
That's the one you need to use.
Puff Daddy. My daddy.
Hi, you guys. How you doing? On November 4th, you are cordially invited to the birth of Puff Daddy. Yay! It's destined to be the most unbelievable,
Spectacular, incredible, unbelievable, and expensive event of all.
So for all the people out there who don't believe in chemtrails or weather modification, I want you to head to geoengineeringmonitor.org and let me know what you think about all this. So this website has a map that you can scroll through of the entire world showing all of the projects that they have going on and all of the areas that they are spraying toxic chemicals into your air in order to modify the weather. And if you look along the side here, that entails all different kinds of things: greenhouse gas removal, solar radiation management, weather modification. So if you see here, we've got carbon capture, direct air capture, ocean fertilization, enhanced weather, artificial upwelling. So if we go down, we got solar radiation management, cloud thinning, microbubbles and sea foams, stratospheric aerosol injection. We've got canceled, completed, ongoing. Lets you know all the projects that are going on with that right now. Weather modification, right there. We've got increased precipitation, reduced precipitation, so them just controlling rainfalls however they please. Messing with Mother Nature, that's always a good idea. And then other, my personal favorite. Algae projects, major research project, whatever that is, and other. Not disclosing what it could possibly be. But algae there you go. Go check it out.
If you cut and place 10 stones a day, it would take you 664 years to make the pyramid. There's 2,300,000 stones in the Great Pyramid. I more and more think that it's very likely that the entire world experienced a cataclysmic disaster around 11,800, 12,000 years ago, somewhere in that range. And it knocked us back into the Stone Age. But those people who were around before that were probably more sophisticated than we are. We're thinking of technology only as technology that we've implemented, like these microphones and cell phones and shit. But it's possible there was a completely different branch of technology, and they had figured out something that allowed them to manipulate enormous stones. We just haven't figured it out yet.
When you start breaking down where religions have come from, theologies have come from, the six-pointed star, for instance, is called the Star of David. Actually, it's not the Star of David. All the encyclopedias and reference works will tell you that it's called the Star of Saturn. It is a hexagram. Hexagrams represented the planet Saturn. Our banks were given to us by the Knights Templars, the Masonic Lodge of Knights Templars in Europe. Our educational institutions, universities and colleges were given to us by the Masonic Order coming out of Rome. This is why the square martyr board is a Catholic symbol. And Jews, how many Jews know that when you wear a yarmulke, that's not Jewish, it's Roman? That's why the Pope wears a yarmulke. That's why the cardinals wear the yarmulke. It's a Roman symbol, it's not Jewish. The Jews were told to wear the yarmulke to show subjection to Rome. And they got so used to using it, they think it's a Jewish symbol. It's not Jewish, it's Roman. So many people willingly bend themselves to what their masters want from them. What your masters want is for you to be in compliance, for you to think what they have told you to think.
Hello, I'm Mark Coker, Cabinet Member for Transport. I'm here at our official opening of our brand new CCTV centre right in the heart of Plymouth with Councillor Sally Hayden, our Community Safety Cabinet Member. It's great to be able to come here and visit and see the fruits of our labour. This was funded by our Transforming Cities Fund, which will enable us to do a huge, wide-ranging coverage of the city, and it will be able to help all of the organisations from keeping the city moving to the safety aspects of our city.
We have many more screens where we're able to keep people safe in our city and to keep an eye on what's going on. And if you need any help, you know, people are here to be able to support you, and also to be able to monitor our new help buttons as well.
One of the interesting experiments that came out of MK Ultra is called the Milgram experiment. And the Milgram experiment, there was a Yale associate professor named Stanley Milgram, and he recruited about 70 people from every walk of life in New Haven: business people, students, working people, blacks, whites, etc. And he would bring them in to take part in this experiment, and he would put them at a table like this, and on the table there was a dial, and they were told that the dial was connected to a man who was sitting in the next room who was tied to a chair, and that when they twisted that dial, it would administer an electric shock, and that they were doing an experiment on him, right? They didn't tell they were doing the experiment on you.
Right.
And they were told by a guy who was a doctor, so a doctor was really Dr. Milgram, who was in a white lab suit, and he had, you know, kind of badges on him that made him look like an authority figure. And he would tell them, okay, turn it up, turn it down, turn it up, turn it down. When they turned it up, they could hear the guy struggling and screaming and sometimes pleading and crying. And a lot of the subjects were saying, I don't want to do this anymore. You know, can I stop? And the doctor would say, no, you can't. And he'd say, turn it up. And I think 67% of it, you can actually, you shouldn't go to Wikipedia for anything controversial, but you can look this up in Wikipedia. Yeah. I think, and it's called the Milgram experiment. 67% turned it up to where it said potentially lethal.
Yeah.
And which is like 250 volts or something. And what Milgram said is that the voice of an authority figure has the capacity to overwhelm all of your most deeply held beliefs and ethical precepts for the normal person.
Yeah.
That they will, if somebody who they believe in as authority tells them to do something that they know is wrong, they're going to do it. The good news is...
Well, they think they're off the hook. It's like, you know, it's like a Hannah Arendt's thing, the banality of evil. If they think, well, I'm only following orders, so I'm not going to be held responsible for my own actions.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. And but the good news is that 33% of them got up and walked out.
That is good.
And that is roughly that, you know, what we saw during COVID, because COVID seemed to me from the beginning a giant Milgram experiment where we had a doctor and, you know, all these doctors who were assembled at the top of the society, and they were telling people to do things that we all knew were wrong, to censor the press, to do what you're told, trust the experts. Okay. That was never a thing. That trusting the experts is not a feature of democracy. It's not a feature of science. It's a feature of totalitarianism, and it's a feature of religion.
Right.
But it's not science to trust the experts.
And before we wrap up, speaking about another major threat to the country and to the family unit, tell me a little bit about how the immigration has been going over in your neck of the woods and how people are responding to it. I mean, there's just crime after crime that we see on the news committed by illegal immigrants that are just flooding in and wreaking havoc on the community and the natives there.
It's an absolute disaster. Yeah. I mean, we've had it really for the last 25 years when immigration stepped up a level in the UK from the time of Tony Blair. But in the last 4 or 5 years, it's just gone even to a higher level. Now we're seeing in the UK tens of thousands of migrants coming illegally across the English Channel. I mean, I know that you've got an even bigger problem in the USA with the southern border there. I mean, I feel the same. I feel like you. It's a country that's being invaded.
It's the same playbook. Yeah, it's not immigration. It's not migrants that are, you know, sweet and mothers and children. It's an invasion. It's an invasion of men, mostly men who are fighting age and have zero respect for the country or its values or anything. They're not here to adapt and assimilate and be a positive contribution to the country. They're here to invade and destroy.
Absolutely. And I don't think anyone minds a small number of people coming over who contribute to the country like we had in the past. You know, people who have got skills, who want to start businesses, who want to, you know, be employed in jobs where there's a skills shortage. Not that we should have a skills shortage. I mean, you know, there's absolutely no reason for a country like the USA or the UK or Germany or France to have a skills shortage because we got tens or hundreds of millions of people. I mean, that's ridiculous. But, you know, you actually wonder if these skills shortages are you know, fabricated artificially. But the solution they offer then is mass migration. And, you know, this is facilitated by the government because, you know, in the UK, we have a huge moat around our island that's 20 or 30 miles wide. You know, this shouldn't be possible for migrants to come across the English Channel, but they actually are being brought into the center of the channel, escorted by the French Coast Guard. Then the Royal Navy and the Border Force from the UK meets them, picks them up, and then sails them back to Dover, and then they get bussed around to accommodation, which is seemingly already there for them. So this is not just something that is happening, you know, without the involvement of government in it. The government is doing this. They are facilitating it.
Right. And they're rolling out the red. It's like a red carpet first class escort experience too. It's like, you know, they're going to fly them in, they're going to bus them in, they're going to get them free hotels and cell phones once they get in. It's unbelievable how much when people say, oh, it's just, you know, they're just naturally migrating because they're in fear of what their home country is like. No, this is a operation, a full-scale operation and invasion.
Yeah, of course, because the vast majority of them are military-aged men in a normal migration movement where people are fleeing war or disaster. You have men, women, and children together. But this is different. This is almost all military-aged men, and you can see them setting up camps in the UK. More in Ireland, it's very obvious that they're building camps for them to live in, and they're totally changing the demographics of the country. And you know, you can live in a small village of 500 people, and suddenly you find the government has put 1,000 migrants in the edge of your village, and then suddenly they're the majority in a place that you call home, and they just say, well, you take it or you're racist. You know, don't protest, because if you protest, you're racist. That's the message that is coming from the government in this country and other countries around.
Yep, it's insane.
Yeah.
Well, thankfully, we have leaders like you and political parties like the Heritage that is, you know, trying to stop this and raise awareness. Can you tell everybody where they can find you and follow you, David? You're awesome and, you know, chock full of information. And I'm so glad that we've got you and others like you that are fighting to wake people up.
Well, thanks, Deanna. Yeah, it was really great to be on your show to be able to talk about all of this. And, you know, I'm the leader of the Heritage Party in the UK. You can find out more about us on heritageparty.org, which is our website. And you can follow me on Twitter as well, at David Curtin.
Okay, awesome. Well, thanks so much, David Curtin. We'll have you back on again for more updates.
I'm here today to tell you that it's time to pick a side. Are we going to be a nation that stands for the Constitution or for TikTok? Are we going to be a nation of law and order or wide open borders? Which is it? Because it's time to pick a side.
There once was a president named JFK, well-liked. In 1963, he had a little bit of a brush-up with what was then known as the American Zionist Council. In June of that year, 1963, the American Council for Judaism issued a newsletter saying that they were being asked by the Justice Department to register as a foreign agent of the State of Israel. In October 11th of 1963, the DOJ wrote a demand to the AZC, the American Zionist Congress, to respond within 72 hours regarding them registering as a foreign agent. And guess what happened? And I guess that ended up working in their favor, because then LBJ became president. And LBJ was very pro-Zionist organization. His aunt Jessie Johnson Hatcher, a major influence in LBJ, was a member of the Zionist Organization of America. Fast forward today, AIPAC has just surpassed $100 million of spending on the 2024 election.
If you use mouthwash, so 2 out of 3 Americans use mouthwash, and there's 2 out of 3 Americans that have an unsafe elevation in blood pressure. So we took normal, healthy individuals, we gave them mouthwash for 7 days, and then stopped the mouthwash. 4 days later, we brought them back. 7 days after starting mouthwashes, in some cases, we saw a 26 millimeter increase in blood pressure.
Whoa.
So the only thing we did was kill the microbiome.
And mouthwash is available to everybody.
Yeah, I mean, 200-something million Americans that wake up every morning and use it. Mouthwash completely kills the oral microbiome, shuts down nitric oxide production. That leads to an increase in blood pressure, erectile dysfunction, and early onset of Alzheimer's.
I'm Brooke Alvarez. Let's get right to our top story tonight. Congress today reauthorized funding for Facebook, the massive online surveillance program run by the CIA. According to Department of Homeland Security reports, Facebook has replaced almost every other CIA information gathering program since it was launched in 2004.
After years of secretly monitoring the public, we were astounded so many people would willingly publicize where they live, their religious and political views, an alphabetized list of all their friends, personal email addresses, phone numbers, hundreds of photos of themselves, and even status updates about what they were doing moment to moment. It is truly a dream come true for the CIA.
Much of the credit belongs to CIA agent Mark Zuckerberg, who runs the day-to-day Facebook operation for the agency. The decorated agent, codenamed the Overlord, was recently awarded the prestigious Medal of Intelligence Commendation for his work with the Facebook program, which he has called, quote, the single most powerful tool for population control ever created. Among the biggest successes of the Facebook program is Operation Farmville, which the CIA credits with pacifying as many as 85 million people after unemployment rates rose dramatically. Other features, such as the suggested Friends window, have been instrumental in allowing government agents to infiltrate deeper into the friend networks of suspected dissidents. For some expert analysis now on the story, let's check in with the Fact Zone's first responders. Jason, you have written extensively about the Facebook program. Why is it so effective?
Well, one of the key reasons is that the CIA has been so thorough in convincing the nation that constantly sharing information about everything that you're doing is somehow desirable instead of deeply unsettling.
Yeah. You know, the critics are saying that with the national debt being so high, is this really the time to be spending even more money on spy programs?
Well, actually, the Facebook program saves the CIA money.
That's right.
Like the Maps application where you list every place that you've been, whether it's the state or a country. Or...
Oh, right, with the little pins to show where you visited. Yeah,
yes,
I like that.
That kind of information would have taken the CIA months of going through hotel receipts and plane tickets to figure it all out. The manpower that Facebook saves is huge.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the calendar feature even lets the CIA know where you're going to be in advance. So that's
right. So now if they want to pick you up for questioning, all they have to do is see which events you RSVP'd yes to and then send their agents to be waiting for you.
That's how they got my brother.
That's right. So effective. But guys, with all the focus on the Facebook program, is it taking away from some of the other CIA programs like the Twitter initiative?
The funding for that should be cut entirely.
Right, 400 billion tweets and not one useful bit of data was ever transmitted.
Oh, that's true. Now, is this trend of social network information gathering dangerous? I mean, just last week, the New York Times revealed that Al-Qaeda has designed Foursquare to identify popular locations for bombing.
Actually, Brooke, that's been discredited as any kind of real threat. The people that use that site are people that no one would mind seeing bombed anyway.
Yeah, really, the only thing the CIA has to be concerned about is people losing interest in Facebook and moving on to a new social network site, like the Chinese site Wanbi.
I love
Are you guys on Wanbi?
Oh, my God, it's so much more fun than Facebook.
It is great.
I love that one.
I love that you can earn friend points the more state secrets that you post. You know, I've got a lot of contacts in the State Department. You know, I think I could really rack them up.
Post them up.
I should.
All right, first responders, thank you so much as always. You know, I'm, of course, a big fan of any social networking site. It allows me to interact with my fans without having to see, hear, or smell them. Well,
thanks to the work of the Biden administration, Dr. Fauci, we already have millions of kids around the country who have gotten vaccinated, which means that if you're still thinking about it, you know, get informed, talk to somebody you trust, your family doctor, your pediatrician, a school nurse, get more information about it. They'll tell you it's safe, it's effective. This vaccine is tailored for kids, and then come on down and find a spot to get vaccinated. You can get it for free just by going to vaccine.gov. It'll tell you exactly where you can go to get vaccinated, and you know, make sure to do it, as you said, for your kids, your entire family, as well as for the community at large.
Wouldn't it be crazy if they found 2.34 billion tons of neodymium in Wyoming? You know, a magnetic mineral which is pretty vital to computer technologies. Wouldn't it be crazy if Chariot Mining just found the first hard lithium deposits in Wyoming in the last month or so? Wouldn't it be crazy that while all these hurricanes are going on, there is a massive wildfire engulfing the mountains of Wyoming right now, which has burned over 78,000 acres? Wouldn't it be crazy if the media appears to be just ignoring the fact that there's this massive fire in Wyoming? Wouldn't it be crazy if Chariot's stock price has gone up nearly 40% in the last month? Wouldn't it be crazy if these massive fires are only 45 minutes away from Black Mountain, the main project of Chariot Mining Company? That would be crazy. Yeah.
Last Saturday night, I got married. Me and my wife settled down. But me and my wife have parted. I'm gonna take another stroll downtown. Irene, good night. Irene, good night. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. I'll get you in my dream.
Stop your rambling. Stop your gambling. Stop staying out late at night. Go home to your wife and your family. Sit down by your fireside so bright.
Irene, good night.
Irene.
Irene, good night. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. I'll get you in my dream. I love Irene, I swear I do.
Yes, I do.
Until the sea runs dry. If Irene ever turns her back on me, I'm gonna take morphine and die. Irene, good night, good night, good night, good night, good night, good night, good night. Irene, good night. Good night, Irene, good night, Irene. I'll get you in my dream.
Oh, caught the tail end of that. Not quite heading off to dreamland. Visit with Irene. Nighty night, but eventually here.
I think that's crazy. You think Democrats aren't just trying to create a voting bloc out of these illegal immigrants? Think again. New York City not only proposed, but passed a bill which would grant illegal immigrants, non-citizens, the right to vote in local elections. Fortunately, that absurd bill was shot down by a superior court in New York because it was unconstitutional. But New York City is the norm, not the exception for blue cities. Democrat-run cities across America are attempting to do the very same thing as New York. The fact of the matter is that Democrats don't care about illegal immigrants, no matter what sob story they tell you. All they care about is votes and creating a larger voting bloc.
Alexa, why should I vote for Donald Trump?
I cannot provide content that promotes a specific political party or a specific candidate.
Alexa, why should I vote for Kamala Harris?
While there are many reasons to vote for Kamala Harris, the most significant may be that she is a strong candidate with a proven track record of accomplishment. As the first female vice president, Harris has already broken down a major gender barrier, and her career in politics has been characterized by a commitment to progressive ideals and a focus on helping disenfranchised communities.
But I can tell you that we are not targeting anyone else in Gaza but civilians. Hamas is cynically, but rather terrorists, of course.
The charge that Israel deliberately attacked UNIFIL personnel is completely false. It's exactly the opposite. Israel repeatedly asked UNIFIL to get out of harm's way. It repeatedly asked them to temporarily leave the combat zone, which is right next to Israel's border with Lebanon. In fact, on the day that Israel began its ground operation next to our border with Lebanon, we asked them specifically, please leave this area so you're not harmed. Israel is not fighting UNIFIL. It's not fighting the people of Lebanon. It is fighting Iran's proxy Hezbollah, which uses Lebanese territory to attack Israel. Hezbollah attacked Israel last year without any provocation on October 8th, a day after the Hamas massacre. And it's continued to attack us ever since by launching over 10,000 rockets and missiles at Israel. Hezbollah uses UNIFIL facilities and positions as cover while it attacks Israeli cities and communities. These attacks have claimed the lives of many Israelis, including yesterday. Israel has every right to defend itself against Hezbollah and will continue to do so. We regret any harm done to UNIFIL personnel, and the IDF is doing its utmost to prevent such incidents. But the best way to ensure the safety of UNIFIL personnel is for UNIFIL to heed Israel's request and to temporarily get out of harm's way.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Monday, November 4th, 1963.
Hello.
Why do the leaves fall? Why does the snow come on the ground? Why do the leaves turn green? Where do we go to Cape Transport? It's summer.
And then your horses.
Why is it so hard just to sit in the yard instead of sky so blue? I got a new way of walking and a new way of talking, honey, when I'm around you. But it gives me the blues when I got some good news. You're not there to bring it to. Life is a blessing, it's a delicatessen of all the little favors you do. All wrapped up together, no matter the weather. Baby, I always turn true. It's a measure of treasure that gives me the pleasure of loving you the way I do. And you know I would gladly say I need you love badly and bring the little things to you. 'Cause you got gold, gold inside of you. You got gold, gold inside of you. Well, I got some gold inside me too. Going. You know I hate to say so long. It gives me an ocean of a mixed up emotion. I have to work it out in song. You don't even a lot, or a little I got it. But you know a lot of little do. And you give me a love that shine up above. Till I go way back home. 'Cause you got gold, gold inside of you. You got gold, I got some. Go inside me too. You got wheels turning inside. You got wheels turning inside of you. Well, I got wheels turning inside me too.
The John Prine song recently came across. About decided I'd add the mix. Of course, you're probably going to get it. We've already got hit hard on Facebook. They wouldn't even let us post it originally. Couldn't share. It was terrible. Switching browsers, the whole thing. They would not let us post. Total cock blocking the state of hers. And now they've shut us down because we've been playing a little bit of music here. So, transitional content. Let them hear that, okay? Make of it what you will. They're AI.
Henry Kissinger, and I think he first was noticed by the Rockefeller family after he wrote a very erudite work on nuclear weapons and nuclear war back in the late 1950s.
Nuclear weapons and foreign policy.
Right.
Yes.
It's been published, and from that time on, he became pretty close to the Rockefeller family.
Well, he did. Actually, I guess I was the first one who got to know him because he was a member of an organization called the Council on Foreign Relations in New York, and there was a study group at that time that he, as then a young instructor at Harvard, presided at. I was so impressed by him that I introduced him to my brother Nelson, who was then governor of New York and was then considering seeking the presidency of the United States. They became great friends, and actually Henry became Nelson's foreign policy advisor as long as he was in public life, and I think is one of the remarkable international statesmen in the world today. Even 30 years after he was Secretary of State, he is still asked by heads of state when he travels the world for his advice.
Let me go back to the time you said when you came here, it transformed your life. Was there a course, a professor who really made that difference for you?
Yes, there was one course, one seminar of Henry Kissinger, which really opened my eyes. I wasn't accepted to the seminar, but I sat in. I think he let me in because I was German. And it was relatively shortly after the war. There were not too many Germans here. And this created a friendship which has endured until today. And, Henry has been several times in Davos. And I think it was mainly participating in his seminars that I developed my interest for geopolitical affairs.
What in the hell is this? The chairman tweets, "Protect our ducks and kittens in Ohio," because he goes down some crazy rabbit hole, completely debunked that aliens are eating pets. My God, are you okay, Mr. Chairman? Because last year, for a very long time, you tweeted and promoted Kanye West as he was calling for genocide against the Jews, and you kept it up. And now, when we have victims coming here, you're tweeting this nonsense. I don't know why you would do this. I hope you're okay. I don't know if the aliens who are eating your ducks are in the room with us right now, but Mr. Chairman, this is a serious issue. These people have loved ones who have been lost, and you tweeted this.
So let me take them in order. So first, yes, you absolutely can get COVID flu vaccines at the same time. It is a best practice. We want folks to get both the updated COVID vaccine and the updated flu vaccine. So yes, you can get them at the same time. And as far as the overall outlook, sorry for the glitch there. So our Center for Forecasting and Analytics looked at historical data, consulted with experts, and basically their outlook going forward is that this season we can expect a similar or slightly improved in terms of peak hospitalizations that we saw last year when you look at combined COVID, flu, and RSV together. But I do want to reiterate that there are, a number of assumptions built into that, including that folks go and get vaccinated. And that's why you're hearing so much preparation on our part, both from the operations, the education, to make sure that folks do take the important and best defense that they can get going into this season.
민주주의민공화국의 수도 평양시에 무인기를 침투시키는 엄중한 정치군사적 도발 행위를 감행하였다. 한국은 민주주의의 국권과 존엄을 훼손시키고 사회주의 제도를 악의에 타서 헐뜯는 절대로 억구할 수도 용서할 수도 없는 중대.
하나 둘 셋 하고
to send our condolences to the families of the 66 Iranian civilians shot down or that lost their lives in the plane accident today.
שהמחיר יהיה כבד מצוא, כרגע המחיר לא כבד מצוא, התקפה רבת היקף על הרשות הפלסטינית. מדברת על פחד שהכל מתמוטט.
לא פוחדים, צוחקים להם, יראו לנו לתוך הישב פה בצחוק ופשוט הם לא פוחדים.
זה מה שנביא אותם
ואז, רגע, אבל אז השוק מהעולם יגיד מה, אתם פורשים? אתה לא מפחד מהעולם, ביבי.
במיוחד היום עם אמריקה, אני יודע מה זה אמריקה. אמריקה זה לא שאפשר להזיז אותו בקלות, להזיז לכיוון הנכון. לא יפריעו לו.
אז אם אנחנו עושים איזה משהו, אז הם...
יש שאלה, אז נניח שהם אומרים משהו. 80% מהאמריקאים תומכים בנו. זה אבסורד. לא פחדתי להתאבד שם. לא פחדתי להתאבד עם קלינטון. לא פחדתי להתאבד עם חום. מה היו הסכמי אוסלו? הסכמי אוסלו שהכנסת חתמה עליהם. שאלו אותי לפני הבחירות התקיים. כן, לפני כפוף להדדיות, צמצום הנסיבות. אבל איך נצמצם את הנסיבות? אני אתן פירוש להסכם שיאפשר לי להפסיק את הדירה הזאת לגבי 67. איך עשינו את זה? אף אחד לא אמר מה זה אתרים צבאיים מוגדרים. אתרים צבאיים מוגדרים, אני אמרתי אלה אזורי ביטחון. בקעת הירדן, מבחינתי זה אתר צבאי מוגדר.
נכון.
זה אוקיי. לך תגיד. אבל אז הייתה שאלה, מי יגדיר מה זה אתרים צבאיים מוגדרים? קיבלתי מכתב, נכנס לפה, אליי ולערפאת, באותה לשון, שאומר שישראל, וישראל בלבד, היא זו שתגדיר מהם את מיקום האתרים הצבאיים האלה ואת גודלם. עכשיו, הם לא רצו לתת את המכתב הזה, אז לא נתתי את הסכם חברון. הפסקתי את ישיבת הממשלה, אמרתי, אני לא חותר. רק כשהגיע המכתב, תוך כדי הישיבה, אליי ואל ערפאת, חתמתי על הסכם. תגיד לו שעדיף לתת 2% מאשר לתת 100%. וזו הברירה שעומדת כאן הפרק. ואתה נתת 2%, ובזה עצרת את הנסיגה הזאת, במקום 100%.
South Korea's spy agency says North Korea has deployed thousands of troops to support Russia's war efforts in Ukraine. Its National Intelligence Service released satellite images that it says shows the activities of Russian ships transporting North Korean soldiers. The agency also released images that it says shows Russian ships carrying North Korean weapons, as well as satellite images of suspected North Korean mass gatherings at military facilities in Russia. CBS News senior foreign correspondent Charlie D'Agata is at the Pentagon. Charlie, what else are South Korean officials saying?
This for a while. This is the first time they've presented evidence of those accusations from the spy agency, as you said. While defense officials here say they've been tracking it, they're largely depending on their Ukrainian eyes and ears on the ground for their intel. The South Koreans say 1,500 North Korean Special Forces commandos were transported to Russia on 7 Russian ships in those images I think you just shown. And they've been monitoring Russian military aircraft shuttling between North Korea and Russia. They say these commandos have been supplied with Russian military uniforms, Russian military equipment in order to blend in. They've even been given forged identification documents showing they're from Siberia. They're being trained in Russia before their deployment to the front lines of Ukraine.
Are North Korea or Russia responding at this point, and has Ukraine offered any information?
Well, President Zelensky yesterday, who had also been warning about increased collusion between North Korea and Russia, they say they've been supplying Russia with weapons from North Korea, largely artillery, for more than a year. Now he says this is just the beginning of what may be 10,000 or more North Korean troops, and that's the first. But none of that original group has been sent to Ukraine yet. As for North Korea, no comment specifically to this, to my knowledge. Last June, the North Korean president pledged full support to the Russian government when President Putin visited. As far as Russia is concerned, they dismissed the accusation that North Koreans have been sent to support Russia as another hoax.
What's the significance of North Korea sending troops and other aid to help Russia? Could this impact the overall war?
Yeah, Lindsay, that's a key question, and it's one that I've been asking here. What does it mean in the grand scheme of things? The numbers really won't make a dent. Ukraine recently said Russia lost 1,500 personnel in one day alone last week. Now, we can't confirm those numbers, but with the hundreds of thousands of Russian troops deployed, it really won't be a significant contribution. But as an official here told me, it really depends on how well they can fight. They really haven't fought in decades, but they are, highly trained commandos. What kind of equipment will they have? Will they be used as sort of elite fighting forces, or just thrown onto the front lines, as Russia has done to other foreign fighters and mercenaries throughout the war?
Charlie D'Agata, thank you.
Thank you.
South Korea's spy agency says that North Korea is sending troops to support Russia's war against Ukraine.
Okay, and that's where we will end things tonight. I think people pretty much get a sufficient, reasonable, enough type picture and sense of what's currently unfolding here via the Korean Peninsula and beyond. It is, it's slightly problematic, to say the least, and it'll be interesting to see if we, make it to the actual, what is this, only a couple of weeks to the U.S. presidential election, how that might impact or alter things in any significant manner is anyone's guess. Although if Trump does get in there, he seems to be someone who has a track record of being able to, for whatever reason, get things done. So, there's a lot up in the air right now, and it's, once again, anybody's guess, but there should be no guessing when it comes to the Morning Star report, which will be kicking off in just a little more than 9.5 hours, as far as our calculations here tell us. So hopefully everybody out there listening did manage to perhaps benefit in some way from what we had to offer, whether it was the content we ripped via the interwebs, the introductory commentary, maybe the music or what have you. But once again, yeah, we're, of course, it's a listener supported operation here, and a free, it starts from the basis of being a free social service, really, more than anything, the platform itself. But it is listener supported. We do largely run out of pocket, and any help you can offer is appreciated. We each year try to make it to the point where we no longer have to operate in the red. It's the last thing most anyone wants to find themselves running in the red, or dealing with red flags, or having to cut through red tape, find themselves confronted with a red line. Whatever the case, hopefully you do get the picture. So, yeah, and Facebook, once again, is just doing all they can so that we're not able to share our content in any groups whatsoever. It's quite something to watch how they're going about doing this. But Just Mech, David Wilkes, Sonia, of course, and Svetlana. Hey, yeah, we just saw Svetlana pop in there. So, she's the sort of person who usually putters around and tries to get her housework done, or maybe taking care of her her child now, who's, I think it's been a few years, hasn't it? So I'm trying to catch up to speed with her and her story, of course. So if we can manage to connect this weekend, once again, as a reminder, this coming Friday, it's an open house Halloween themed roundtable, the Friday night feature show, folks. 8 p.m. West Coast of the Americas, 11 on the East. That is, of course, Saturday, 12 noon here in South Korea. So do take note of that. Looking forward to that in a big way. Should be a lot of fun. We've got a lot of guests that we have booked here now in the queue, as you can imagine. So it's just a question of getting schedules taken care of, basically, and everything. I'm not sure if you'd say squared away necessarily, but straightened out, certainly, so that everyone's on the same page, more or less, and and we can take it from there. But we'll see. You know, it's great to be back, of course, after the hiatus, lengthy holiday, chance for a little R&R, refreshment, rest, relaxation, and quality time with the family. Hope you've all got that same opportunity, of course. Found it very, very beneficial. It had been a while since I last managed to reconnect in person with my two main siblings. So blood, as they say, runs thicker than water. WPRPN.com is, of course, as well the website we will encourage everyone to drop by, take a look at. Keep in mind, sign up is free. All you simply need is a username, password, and email. From there, everything is pretty much straightforward. If you run into any problems along the way, do not hesitate in getting back to us via our main email address, pirate1radio@protonmail.com. That also is what you'll want to take note of and use in the event that you'd like to send us some PayPal support to help cover our operating expenses. Any donation, regardless of the size, is always very much welcome and appreciated. Half of which goes directly back to charity. So, and we do have, of course, the annual Operation Secret Santa 10-day extravaganza, the consciousness-raising campaign, the Christmas spirit guiding us through the traditional time, really, of darkness is what it is. Doing all we can to keep the light and then flame alive. Until we meet again, from the east and to the west and all points in between, I'm your host, as always, a stranger in a strange land, Japhy Ryder, aka Special Agent Johnny Canuck. Songbul Haseyo.